So basically what I'm doing is making a presentation about four of my favorite old sailor poets and fleshing them out a bit in terms of where they came from, their bios, and doing some examples from each of their nautical poetry that I have in large part adapted for singing. There are a few other examples of other people who have done the same thing. And it's my attempt to make it all real and hopefully provoke other people to do some follow-up reading on their own and maybe discover other old poets. And there are many in that category. So anyway, the nautical music inventory is primarily made up of traditional work songs and ballads, but we have well-known contemporary singer-songwriters like Gordon Bok, Tom Lewis, Cyril Tawney, Bob Zentz, and many others who have contributed to the musical inventory. In addition, there's other less well-known songwriters. And then there are some non-sailor poets like Cicely Fox Smith, who have made a tremendous contribution to the nautical inventory. Well over 100 of her poems have been adapted for singing and recorded all over the world, from Australia to the UK and certainly in Canada. What I mean by sailor poets are poets who actually have sailed on tall ships as crew members on commercial ships or as deck officers or crew members on Navy ships, primarily in the 1890s through the 1920s, in the last days of the Age of Sail. There are dozens that come to mind, but probably the first one that comes to most of our minds would be John Masefield, poet laureate of England for 40 years. It was most amazing. But as you will find out, he got his start as an apprentice sailor. And in addition to John Masefield, I'll be covering Bill Adams, who was also another apprentice officer who sailed on tall ships, and Bert Franklin Janis, who is a totally different category. He was a Navy surgeon in the early 1900s and during World War I, and then retired from the sea and basically was in El Paso, Texas for the rest of his life. But he was prolific in terms of writing fascinating nautical poetry, much of which could be readily adapted for singing. And then the final member that I'll focus on is Hamish McLaren, who is responsible, among other things, for the Yangtze River Shanty, which I adapted for singing, and the Sailor's Folk Opera, which no one really has worked on, called Sailor with Banjo, which was what sort of riveted me to that particular author. How could one refuse it when one runs across in the used bookstore this small volume? And it was fascinating, and at some point I got to talk with his surviving daughter in terms of getting more background. So anyway, that's what I will do, and we'll start. Hopefully, moving the sucker up here. Ooh, goody. Yeah. Let's see if we can move the slides forward. Yeah. Here's one of the earliest portraits of John Masefield in 1909. And just to back up a bit, he was 13 years old when he was sent aboard a training ship, the HMS Conway, to learn the job of being a sailor. And it was one of his dreams to do that. He had a romantic view of it all. And aboard the training ship, he learned the ropes. He also learned some of the stories from the adult members of the training crew. And by the time he was 17, he was ready to sign aboard as an apprentice. And his first, the first ship he sailed on, let's see, right. He was signed aboard a bark. That's the training ship Conway. A rather lovely picture of her. And here's his first bark, the Gilcrow. And it's real fun sort of, surfing the net to see if you can locate these ships and find a decent photograph. And it certainly looks wonderful there. She's not in a gale. And somewhere there should be a fourth mast, but who knows? We're trying to count. I don't think it is there.
No, it's buried behind the starboard corners of the sails.
So anyway, Maysfield, that was actually his second ship. Maysfield sailed on that to the west coast of South America, and there he contracted some major disease, not the one Jerry's been referring to, but they really had to send him ashore, recuperate in the hospital, and then he went back to England by a steamer. Then his parents were still determined, his aunt and uncle were still determined that he was going to be an officer, and after he fully recovered, they shipped him back by steamer to sign aboard a ship in New York Harbor. And Maysfield took one look at the ship, talked to the crew, and jumped ship in New York. And there he became, he could have disappeared in Southport and never been heard of again. He got various odd jobs. He finally got something semi-stable by being assistant bartender in Greenwich Village at a tavern called the Columbian, or the Columbian. And there he got bored at room and board, but eventually he met someone there who got him a job that actually paid wages at a carpet factory in Yonkers. And we might have never heard from him again if he had settled down. He earned good wages, spent his money on books, and then finally decided to come back to England and become the writer he wanted to be. And so he worked his way across the Atlantic on a steamer as a assistant purser or some such thing. And basically he based himself in London, finally began getting some of his poems and short stories published in magazines like The Outlet and The Tattler and The Speaker and Pall Mall magazine. And finally that worked its way up to his first book of poetry, The Saltwater Shanties. And those are the ones that I have primarily been processing. There's a few other books that are of interest that have more short stories about his experiences or his fantasies. I think that really works it up. After that, he became much better known, well published, became well known enough to be appointed Poet Laureate of England. So the song I'm going to use from uh, from John Masefield. It's a setting out song, and it's one that would appeal to the apprentices. It would not appeal to the regular crew who are sort of foggy in their heads and not at all interested in the paddle wheel tug that is towing their ship down the Thames, out to sea. Okay, so this is Pierhead Chorus, and the tune is a gospel tune called Little Black Train via Jeff Warner. Run this over here a little bit. Start with the chorus. For the tug has got the tow rope, she'll lead us to the downs. Her paddles churn the river rack of muddy greens and browns. But I have swapped the river rack and all the filth of towns for the rolling, surging combers of the sea. For the rolling, surging combers of the sea. Now, river rack, we don't use that term here in the States, but it's sort of the floating seaweed and the other debris. Oh, we probably should run that over a little bit, but I'm not sure it's going to do much. Nah, that's the next one. So you have to use the lyrics that I sort of passed out, or you have to consume them orally. Yeah, so rack and ruin we are familiar with, and that's rack. That's the particular rack we're talking about. Now I'll be chewing salt horse and eating salty bread, dancing with the stars up on the coastal head, hearkening to the bow wash and the welter of the tread of 1,000 tons of flipper running free. For the tug has got the tow rope, she'll lead us to the downs. Her paddles churn the river to muddy greens and browns. But I have swapped the river rack and all the filth of town for the rolling, surging combers of the sea. For the rolling, surging combers of the sea. Now we'll sheet her topsails home, glide on down the bay, the sea line blue with billows, the land line blurred and gray. The bow wash will be piling high and thrashing into spray as the clipper's 4-foot tramples down the swell. For the tug has got the tow rope, she'll lead us to the downs. Her paddles churn the river, the muddy greens and browns. But I have swapped the river rack and all the filth of towns for the rolling, surging combers of the sea. For the rolling, surging combers of the sea. Now she'll log a giddy 17 and rattle out the reel. The weight of all that run out line won't be a thing to feel, as the backhoe chew and shellback shambles have to take the wheel, as the seasick little middy strikes the bell. The tug has got the tow rope, she'll lead us to the downs. Her searching corners of the sea. Poor Roland searching corners of the sea. Yeah. That is the right graphic. There it is, a side wheel tug, and she is falling off a ship. That's the way it's supposed to be. So there's several other, I should mention, if you go to charlieipcar.com on my homepage, the entire presentation with lyrics and musical notation, the whole 9 yards, is available for download. So you can do that if you really want to do more than listen to this. So the second wholesaler poet is Bill Adams. He also was a, we'll move this along here so we get to, oh look at that, there's the song. Huh. There's Bill. That's from one of his books that describes his life aboard ships and his life before he even got aboard ships. So he was another Englishman who had romantic notions about going to sea, and his aunt who was in charge of him, his mother had died early and his father sort of adventured away somewhere, so he was in charge of his aunt. She really needed a lot of convincing to pay his apprenticeship aboard a sailing ship. And at the age of 17 or so, 19 I think, he actually got her permission and sailed aboard this beautiful thing called the Silverhorn. That is a four-masted bark for sure, spelled appropriately B-A-R-Q-U-E, not to be confused with American barks. Let's see. Nah, that doesn't work. The arrows don't work on that. Here we go. Yeah. So in 1897 is when Bill Adams set sail. And there were 4 apprentice officers, 2 of them were experienced, and there were 2 greenhorns like Bill. And it didn't take them long to learn the ropes, and at the end of about 2 years, they had appointed him as acting 3rd officer aboard the ship. Although he wasn't paid as a 3rd officer, he was still getting apprentice pay. And they ended up at some point in San Francisco, and there Bill was invalided. He was had gotten terribly sick, and they sent him ashore, and that was the end of his career. Apparently he had a severe case of asthma that may have been related to shifting coal and iron that they had to re-stow in the hull of the ship, and all that dust that was stirred up. So he never fully recovered from that, but he began writing short stories and poems, went back to England and married his childhood sweetheart, and then came back to San Francisco. That's pretty much his story, and my favorite song from Bill Adams is also a setting out song to the traditional tune of one of the dreadnoughts, Bound Away. And we should cycle this one on. The Scottish Prince was his clipper ship. Liverpool Packet, that's what it is. So the chorus is traditional. Nope. But we should sing it in the proper key. Oh, much better. And again, this would be sung ideally by the apprentice officers, not the regular crew. They're just not going to be singing this lovely little rousing ditty. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. There's a three skysail yarder with her hatches battened down. The grey skies above her and the Mersey running brown. She's anchored in the river, the tug's up ahead. A shantyman singing would waken the dead. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. Hear the windlass a-clanking as the mate shouts, heave away. Heave a paw and lift her, or there'll be hell to pay. It's war, Blue Peter, the anchor's off the mud. There's cheering, there's laughter, and the tide's at full flood. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. Loose topsails he shouts, all away camp and go. And we haul away together at the rising sun's glow. Her lofty spars shine through the smoke blowing past. Up aloft shouts the skipper, and we race out the mast. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. We're out on the foot ropes, we're casting loose sail. The pilot shakes hands, clambers over the rail. It's hauling the hawser, just see her sails draw. Her wake trails behind, she's running from shore. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. There's a three skysail yarder with her hatches battened down. The grey skies above her and the Mersey running brown. There's a three skysail yarder with her hulls jammed full. Hear the cheer from the pier for the pride of Liverpool. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. Bound away through the ice, sleet, and snow. She's a Liverpool packet, oh Lord, let her go. Excellent. Wake up. Yeah. So our next old sailor poet is Bert Franklin Janus, and I think we're doing okay for town. And as I mentioned, he was a Navy surgeon and prolific poem writer. He published several books of poetry in the early 1900s. We don't know much about his life other than he was born in New Hampshire and couldn't wait to get to sea, and got his medical training at a proper educational facility. And during World War I, he'd been on reserve, so they put him back into active service. And then after World War I, about 1920, he moved to Texas, became affiliated with several universities in El Paso, and continued to write and publish some of his books. Again, he would be a perfectly charming person to chat with. None of us actually thought about that until it was far too late. And here's a very distinguished picture that I finally got from the Burt Franklin Janus Family Archives. The other pictures really didn't do him justice. This one really looks like someone who was out there. So there's a variety of poems that Janus did. Everything from very romantic things, but the one I like to focus on is one I always wanted Mark Bernier to lead, called A Ballad of the Old Navy. And it's to an alternative tune to Blow Ye Winds in the Morning. And so if you turn on your chorus sheet to that, this one's a cappella, so it doesn't require the assistance of a machine. So cheer up. It describes a spree in South Street in New York, and there are no holds barred. It's just a beat 'em up kind of thing, and the survivors get to compose the song to entertain their friends on the next voyage. So it's cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. It's cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. We went ashore last payday night, Bill Dykes, the mate, and me. We cruised about till we got tight, was all a glorious spree. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. We veered and hauled and tacked and beat and shifted course some more, till we fetched up on Bleecker Street, then steered for South Street shore. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. And we was, say, cruising even keel, considering where we'd been, till a pair of cops put up a deal and tried to run us in. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. Then Billy says, turn to his come, I think I heard her blow. And he winks at me and I was on. And then he says, let's go. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. And Billy took the bigger one, and of course I took the other. And when at last the job was done, you'd swear that they was brothers. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. For the port side light of one was red, the starboard showing green. It's just luck he wasn't dead, and his mate he lay careened. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. for I downed him in the morning watch with his own belaying pin. The top of his head was an awful splotch, and his jaw was busted in. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of the stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. Then Billy says, all well's below, and casts a weather eye around the street and says, let's go, and leave them lubbers die. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of the stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. Two sailors rolling down the dock, a-making heavy weather, hoisted in with tackle and block, flung in the brig together. So cheer up, me lively lads, in spite of the stormy weather. Cheer up, me lively lads, let's all get drunk together. High enough. Ooh, that's a lot for skipping. Now, this photograph of Hamish McLaren was taken in 1918 as a deck officer at the time, a very freshly minted one. He was no more than 17 years old at the time. And again, he was raised in Scotland, and they didn't know what to do with him. He was a younger son, and all he wanted to do was write poetry and songs, and it wasn't going to do much for the family, so they shipped him aboard a training ship for a couple of years, and then he went to another training ship in the Royal Navy, an official Navy school, and graduated, in the last year of World War I. He didn't see any deck action per se. He was assigned some sort of cargo steamer that was providing supplies to Archangel and when the White Russians had control of that port. But he did make the observation that he learned to appreciate vodka at that time. I got a lot of the extra notes from his daughter, who corresponded with me for years and was always hoping to write a biography of her father. And I may be able to get part of that manuscript because she has since passed away and do a bit more with it. But McLaren also did us the service of writing a book of short stories, some of which might be autobiographical, so one can sort of fill in that he spent a good part of his life in the Navy. In the 1920s, he was being trained as a gunnery officer and spent time in the Mediterranean and off Malta, and then came back for more gunnery training, and they shipped him off this time to the China station, where he may have run into the Yangtze River because apparently they got tired of him on the big battle cruiser and put him on this little river gunboat running up and down the river, if I can find a little river gunboat. That's his training ship. Who knows, little river gunboat was there somewhere. But as I mentioned, in 1929, that's when he had Sailor with Banjo published. And it's really a sailor's folk opera. There are no tunes, unfortunately. And his daughter had no access to any previous manuscripts because, he died before his younger brother, who was nicknamed Rat. But anyway, his younger brother, and she didn't have a chance more than an hour to collect everything from her uncle's collection before they closed the apartment and put everything in the proverbial dumpster. So she never really got all that. and probably the rest of us won't unless somebody else has, for some reason, was corresponding with him. So we don't have the tunes. And this was the Yangtze River Shanty was a add-on to the folk opera. It's not part of it. It was actually in the appendix. And he sort of introduced it by saying, here's an old-time capstan. This is in the shape of an old-time capstan ballad, and I spent time, basically working the capstan bars as a young midshipman, as a cadet. And again, no tune, but I cobbled together a couple of tunes for it. One for the chorus, has some relationship to Congo River, and the verse, I think, comes from Johnny's Gone to Hilo, or Jenny's Gone to Ohio, depends on the flavor of your memory. So we will do the Yangtze River Shanty, and we will do it the way my friend Barry Finn did it, which was much more like a regular sea shanty for working. Mine was prettier. My lotus lady I'll see no more. Away, boys, away, oh, since I left her on the China shore. Away, boys, let's walk away. Away, boys, away, oh, roll me down that Yangtze River. Away, boys, let's walk away. When we first met, she was like a queen. Away, boys, away, oh, prettiest gal that I ever seen. Away, boys, let's walk away. Away, boys, away, oh, roll me down that Yangtze River. Away, boys, let's walk away. When we first met, she was like, well, we got that one. I bought her silks, I bought her silks and a golden comb. Away, boys, away, oh, troubles o'er, now the anchor's home. Away, boys, let's walk away. Away, boys, away, oh, blow me down that Yangtze River. Away, boys, let's walk away. Yes, I spent my silver for to winter. Away, boys, away, oh, there's nothing left but the donkey's dinner. Away, boys, let's walk away. Away, boys, away, oh, blow me down that Yangtze River. Away, boys, let's walk away. We're outward bound, cookies in the galley. Away, boys, away, oh, farewell, young moon of the Yangtze Valley. Away, boys, let's walk away. Away, boys, away, oh, roll me down that Yangtze River. Away, boys, let's walk away.